Ah, jetzt haben wir hier unsere letzte Investigation. Da haben wir wieder eine Monokuma. Und, was ich mich noch gefragt habe, ist dieser, ja, sind die Hauptdarsteller, die Monokuma erwähnte, sind das möglicherweise die Protagonisten aus dem ersten Teil in irgendeiner Art und Weise? Ich meine, dieses 11037, das würde ja zum Beispiel enorm zu Makoto passen aus dem ersten Teil. Warte mal. Wo sind... Warte mal, wir sind hier im 5. Stock? Wie sind wir hier hingekommen? Die Turnhalle ist doch im Erdgeschoss. Hä? That's weird. This is the hallway I walked through to get to the gymnasium, but... It's clearly different. Is this Monokuma's doing too? Is he trying to confuse us again? I don't know how he's doing it, but... He keeps doing it over and over again. He's so persistent. But I'm not gonna fall for his trap. There's no way this will make me back down. Holy... Wir sind wirklich hier im 5. Stock.
This hallway, there's a strange feeling to it, no? As if an invisible wall has been erected to limit our movement.
I am concerned.
Is it just me?
Nein, das nennt sich Gameplay Design. Game Design, damit wir nicht in Bereiche reingehen, in die wir nicht rein sollten. Warte mal, was ist denn hier? Biolab. Okay, hier kommen wir auch nicht rein. Obwohl, das war damals eigentlich ein ziemlich wichtiger Hinweis im ersten Teil. Das war nämlich dieser eine Raum, in dem die ganzen Leichen oder Toten markiert waren. Hier ist der botanische Garten. Ach, es ist so schön, wieder hier zu sein. Hier haben wir das Dojo. Da haben wir auch sehr viele Erinnerungen dran. Und es sieht auch genauso aus wie im ersten Teil. Ist das a Dojo? It's full of strange things that make me think there's no way we're inside a school. Perhaps it's a mistake to expect the inside of this building to make sense. Was haben wir da? Sehen wir uns hier erstmal um. Hier haben wir eine Rüstung. It's armor and a helmet. Did the map developers design this to reflect the Japanese dojo? Die Map Designers, okay. Sehen wir uns mal hier um, ob wir irgendwo einen Monokuma haben, bevor wir irgendwas anderes machen. Na, sieht aber nicht so aus. Dann haben wir natürlich das Buch auf dem Boden, aber das sehen wir uns gleich an. Ah, endlich noch an die ganzen Schließfächer. Und wie wir damals die Karte aus Kyokos Raum geholt haben, um hier das Schließfach öffnen zu können. There are a bunch of wooden lockers here. Each of them has a traditional looking wood block key sticking out of them. I guess they're just for show. There's nothing in particular that looks like a clue. Ich würde eigentlich auch mal saugern in die Schlafräume gehen. Das wäre so cool, wenn wir da wieder in die Schlafräume rein könnten. Da haben wir so viele Erinnerungen dran. Wir haben da mit so vielen Leuten gesprochen immer. The target seems pretty far away. If the production team had more time, there could have been a minigame here. Wait, what am I saying? The cherry tree is proudly displaying its full blossoms. The falling petals add to the elegance of the scene. If Yoko and Peko were here, it would have looked truly picturesque. For their sakes as well, I will definitely go home. This is straw post. I guess that means it was used for training. Was haben wir hier? Huh? What is this? Is this a manga? The title is Manga for Morons, A History of Hope Speak Academy by Monokuma. Why is a manga with such a suspicious looking title laying out in the open like this? Let's start with history first, class.
Hey!
Reading manga is the third best way to learn about history. Then, what's the first, you ask? That depends on the person.
So, this is a thought. Monokuma made this. That totally explains so suspicious it looks. I really want to just ignore it, but there's no way I can do that. Fine, I'll look at it. I'll look at anything that might be a clue to getting out of here, no matter what it is. I picked up the manga off the floor and started flipping through the pages. is an introduction to Hope Speak Academy's history, as narrated by the cutesy character on the cover. The story begins with an introduction to Hope Speak Academy. Hope Speak Academy is a government-funded school of privilege where only the most talented high school students can hope to attend. Built to raise hope in the nation's future, many of its alumni are key leaders of various industries. New students are chosen through a scouting process, but the ones who scout them are Hope Speak Academy's teachers, who serve as both educators and researchers of talent. Hope Speak Academy isn't just a school for talent, it is also a school for researching talent as well. However, for the past few years, Hope Speak Academy has been suffering from a decline in funding. If this persists, the Academy believes they will not be able to make progress with their research of talent. So they decided to implement a new system, the Reserve Department. Unlike the main department who scouts for students, the Reserve Department utilizes a general entrance exam. Normal faculty was hired and placed in charge of looking after the Reserve Department. The expenses and exam fees for the Reserve Department are quite high compared to most high schools. Nevertheless, Hope Speak Academy received an endless stream of applicants. Hope Speak Academy was now available to talentless commoners, people who only cared about the brand. With this, Hope Speak Academy managed to amass sizable funds and began further research of talent. To create Hope Speak Academy's earnest wish, a true genius who would become mankind's hope. But just when I thought everything was going well, an unprecedented incident occurred. The incident that triggered the tragedy, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. That's right, it was the tragedy of Hope Speak Academy. Hope Speak Academy was crippled by this incident and was forced to shut down without accomplishing anything. The end. Huh? The ending was so sudden, like a manga that suddenly cancelled in the middle of its run. Plus, these phrases mentioned at the end of this manga. The tragedy and the tragedy of Hope Speak Academy. These names are so melodramatic, there's no way these incidents really happened, right? This manga only mentions the names, so I don't really know the details, but... no, it'd just be a waste of time to wonder about things that don't make sense. More importantly, I learned something because of this manga. The Reserve Department. That department was only built to collect money. I was one of those Reserve Cure students, right?
But hold on.
That's weird. Oh, you're here again. Ah, the thing that's weird is you, of course. Huh?
Hey,
Why did you forget that you were part of the Reserve Department? The Future Foundation only took away your school life memories, right? But you should have known even before you entered that you had no talent, right? So, I think it's weird you actually forgot something like that too. What do you want me to say?
by the way,
Based on my assumption, the Future Foundation must have wanted to hide the fact that you were one of those Reserve Corps students.
I got it.
Or you willingly sealed those memories yourself. You wanted to be confident in yourself, so you wanted to forget everything that embarrassed you. You know, when humans experience trauma, sometimes they erase their memories of what happened. It happens pretty often. Not that I know anything about that though. Are you saying it's my fault I forgot? That's not it.
Come on.
When things are inconvenient, you always get angry and try to brush it off. Well, that's expected of a Reserve Corps student. Damn it, what the heck? Okay, hier haben wir einmal die Geschichte des Reserve Departments. Oder, okay, wir haben nur die Geschichte des Reserve Departments. Ich habe irgendwie gedacht, dass wir noch ein paar mehr Infos bekommen würden. Auch über die Geschichte von Hope Speak Academy. So, das war das Dojo. Was gab es auf dem Flur hier noch? Wir können hier hinten noch rein. Konnten wir hier vorher auch schon rein? Hier haben wir wieder so einen. Kein Monokuma in Sicht, richtig? Ich wollte noch mal eben kurz nach draußen gehen und sehen, ob ich da draußen irgendwo ein Monokuma finde, aber... wir haben hier nur dieses Buch. This is another manga. It's lying on top of the desk. And this one is... manga from Morons, The Tragedy of Hope Speak Academy. Huh? Wasn't the Tragedy of Hope Speak Academy mentioned in that other manga too? It's why Hope Speak Academy went bankrupt and... It was the trigger for the biggest, most tragic, most awful event in human history. If I read this manga, will I be able to learn a little more about the incidents? I took the manga from the desk and started flipping through the pages to see what I could learn about the event known as the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. The story made heavy use of outdated, stylized drawings depicting characters solving mysteries. What's written here is, as the name suggests, the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy occurred at Hope's Peak Academy. The key player in that event was a student named Isuru Kamukura. Mikuru Ikus... Mikuru... Ikusara... Isuru was a genius, known as the symbol of hope. Hope's Peak Academy used all their resources to develop him. Supposedly, Isuru was a genius among geniuses and possessed various talents. Wielding superior talent for the hope of mankind, the Academy referred to Isuru as the ultimate hope. To protect such rare talent, the Academy completely concealed all evidence of Isuru's origin and identity. Because of that, most of the students at the Academy were completely unaware of Isuru's existence. But Isuru, who was known as the symbol of hope, was responsible for a horrible incident. 13 students of Hope's Peak Academy's student council, among the Academy's best and brightest, were brutally murdered by Isuru. However, the incident did not end there. The Academy tried to protect Isuru's superior talent and concealed the incident as though it never happened. However, a certain student began working in secret to use that incident to their advantage. That student uncovered what the Academy did, and by making that knowledge public, it stoked a fire to Reserve Corps students who had long been dissatisfied with how they'd been treated. And the uprising began. And that heralded Hope's Peak Academy's destruction. This is the entirety of the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. Eventually, that incident would lead to the terrifying, devastating incident. The incident that would be known as the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. Works cited, Danganronpa 0. With a heavy sigh I closed the manga. Am I supposed to believe this? There's no way 13 people were killed at Hope's Peak Academy. What irony! For a genius known as the ultimate hope to cause such a gruesome incident. A talent like that is too regular for society. It's like trying to buy Jews with a bar of gold. You should be lucky that you're incompetent. Damn it, he always has to lead up to something offensive. This usually pisses me off. But ultimate hope? Nagito mentioned that before too, but it looks like it means something completely different here. What Nagito said was the true meaning of hope. But for Isuru, hope simply means talent. More importantly, a genius who possesses various talents. I wish they'd given me one of those talents so I didn't have to be in the reserve department. That's right, the reserve department. Here, it said that the Reserve Corps students in the reserve department began uprising. Then, what about me? Was I a participant too? No, that's not possible. There's no way, I have no reason to do something like that. Die Tragödie an Hope's Peak Academy. Ob das wohl mit dem ersten Teil zusammenhängt, wo wir halt auch in diesem Raum drin waren und diese ganzen aufgemalten Körper auf dem Boden lagen, die halt zeigen sollten, wo ehemalige Leichen mal gelegen haben könnten. Anyway, I've learned about the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy, but the biggest, most awful, and most tragic event in human history is a far worse incident, right? What kind of incident was it? And who's this other student that isn't Isuru? A certain student who secretly used the incident to their advantage. Who is that? This incident is really messed up, but all it's doing is raising more questions. The mysteries just keep piling up. Hier ist kein Monokuma mehr, oder? Nein, ich glaube, dann können wir gehen. Ja, lief hier. Wo gehen wir jetzt hin? Das hier. Das hier. Das Biolab. War das hier, wo die ganzen, ja, wo die ganze Einrichtung zertrümmert waren und die Leichen lagen? War das Biolab? Oder war das die Gefrierkammer? Ich will mich hier nochmal umsehen, ob wir hier irgendwie einen Monokuma finden. Nee, ich glaube nicht, dass die hier einen versteckt haben. Na gut, dann gehen wir mal ins Biolab. Nee, das war die Gefrierkammer hier. Und unten hat sich ein Monokuma versteckt. What the hell is with this room? It's freaking cold in here. It's like I'm in a freezer or something. If I just stand still, I might end up freezing to death. I should hurry up and investigate so I can get out of here already. Erstmal nehmen wir den Monokuma damit.
I've been found.
Ja, und das war damals der Ort, wo im ersten Teil noch die ganzen Leichen gelagert wurden, nachdem, naja, ein Schüler den anderen zum Opfer gefallen ist. This looks like a plastic tub. Why is this left out like this? Clean up after yourselves, will you? I've seen this in movies before. It's a refrigerator for preserving dead bodies. At least, that's what it looks like, but that's impossible, right? Nein, 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 nein. Keeping dead bodies in a high school biolab isn't something you should joke about. I just feel so forced. This idea should have been cancelled during development or something. What am I thinking? Also sagen wir so, also, wenn das an amerikanischen Schulen so weitergeht, wäre das eigentlich gar nicht mal so eine schlechte Idee, sowas einzubauen. Ich meine, man könnte sich viel, viel Zeit sparen. There's another manga just laying around here. This time the title is Manga for Morons, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. I knew it. The next one would obviously be about this incident. The biggest, the most awful, most tragic event in human history, huh? Just what was that incident really all about? It might turn out to be something lame. I flipped through the pages of the manga and hoped that I was right. A story about creepily daunted characters who get involved in such horrifying incidents. An incident known as the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. Is this drawn so grotesque because the incident itself is that grotesque? Anyway, the beginning of this creepy manga starts with this sentence. The tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy was simply the trigger. At first, the uprising by the reserve corps students that triggered the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy was initially hoped to be resolved quickly, but the situation continued to escalate to dangerous extremes. The movement started spreading all over the internet and fostered a thriving online community. The community was not limited to students, and people of various races and nations began joining in. But the movement was not confined to the internet and began spreading and eroding the real world. When the movement started, it was indistinguishable from any other demonstrations inspired by social unrest. But as it spread across the world, certain abnormalities soon came to light. By then, it was too late. The ends and the means had vanished, and wanton destruction became their only goal. The strong bloodshot the weak. The weak killed the weakest among them, and soon the weak formed factions to brutally murder the strong. As the violence and death continued to spread, the shock of their actions began to disappear. As if the area was regressing to more uncivilized times, when senseless deaths were the norm. The media was oversaturated with deaths, to the point where people would watch them while enjoying a meal. By the time the world realized what it had become, it was too late to stop what had happened. A feeling of immense despair began spreading and eventually engulfed the world. Acts of terrorism and coup d'etats began occurring around the world. A war waged in the name of despair. A war fought not for principles, religion, or personal gain. just war. Pure war. And because of that, there was no way to resolve it. How could a movement started by high school students progress to such a hopeless scenario? The only explanation is the existence of a certain organization, devoted to a certain student who influenced Hope's Peak Academy. A group called Ultimate Despair. Instead of using Hope's Peak Academy's talents for the sake of mankind's hope, they used them for the sake of mankind's despair. Key members of society used their influence to brainwash the masses in order to spread despair. Tech-savvy computer programmers wrote software to spread despair. The powerful and influential created new values and morals to spread despair. And with this, they created a tragedy, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. As long as Ultimate Despair exists, the despair engulfing the world will never end. The tragedy will never end. My heart was racing in my chest, but my body felt ice cold. And it wasn't because I was freezing in this room. The biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. This is definitely all made up. I mean, if this really is true, then what's happening in the outside world? My family, my friends, the convenience store I frequent, the nearby bookstore, my favorite restaurant. What's happened to them?
No
Hey,
way!
hey! Are you seriously yelling at the manga? How crazy are you? Who would enjoy reading something like this?
What?
Oh my, you don't like manga? A high school student who doesn't like manga is like an office lady who doesn't like to eat candy. Enough. What is this messed up manga? I thought you'd obviously know about such a horrible event that destroyed the world, but for you not to remember that such despair. That's the Future Foundation's fault though. Thanks to them stealing your school memories. The incident that happened during that period has been completely removed from your brains. This incident really happened and I actually forgot about it? There's no way that's possible. How many times do I have to tell you? All the clothes here are real. Please understand, I'm rooting for you. If you don't learn about the full extent of the outside world, you guys will suffer for it. I just want to help you guys so you can live well-adjusted lives in the outside world. I see, so that's how it is. That's what he meant by what he said at the beginning. Well, as the headmaster, I'm conflicted, you know? On one hand, I'm really happy that you are finally going to graduate. But on the other hand, I'm worried about whether you guys will be okay in the outside world. That's why I'm thinking about telling you what the outside world is like before you make a decision. Whether you wanna leave Jabberwock Island or stay here. He's trying to make us feel despair toward the outside world so we'll want to stay on this island. But there's no way I'm going to do what he wants. Despair like that simply can't exist. The outside world should be filled with hope. Just like now. Perhaps... no, that's definitely it. Whether or not the incident really happened, what in the world is this Ultimate Despair group? If they're devoted to a certain student who guided Hope's Peak Academy to its destruction, are they connected to both the tragedy and the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy? Plus, that organization isn't just one person, but a group of people. But if they're known as Ultimate Despair, they're high school students, right? Well, if they were actually able to do it, then I guess that's why they were called Ultimates. Then, are the killings we are involved in connected to them as well? It's no use, I'm going to freeze to death. I am at my limit, I need to get out of here. Shivering, I ran out of the freezing room. Ew, that was close. I nearly froze to death. So, where should I go next? Wo gehen wir als nächstes hin? Eigentlich eine gute Frage. Warte, können wir jetzt zur Treppe? Oder ins Treppenhaus? Nee, da können wir immer noch nicht hin. Aber wir können jetzt in die ganzen Classrooms rein. Ich weiß nicht, gab es hier das Dojo? Können wir in den botanischen Garten? Nein. Dann würde ich sagen, gehen wir mal hier rein. Ja, der sieht auch normal aus. Aber hier sind Fuyuhiko und Monokuma. No, I should ignore it. I'm just going to pretend I didn't see him.
Richtig gut. Wenn ich ihn nicht sehe, ist er nicht da.
Jeez.
And when I went inside this room, that bastard bear was suddenly here. He keeps glancing at me. I wonder why. That's gonna be shitty either way.
Damn right.
So I'll let you handle it. There's no way I'm gonna deal with that idiot. I don't want to do that either. Danke. Hast du mich jetzt echt dazu gezwungen, mit dem zu reden? Was steht da? Despair. Ja, also, wenn man sowas ganz vorne bei den Abiturprüfungen oder so aufhängen würde, das würde bestimmt die Schüler motivieren. Muss man sich mal vorstellen, man kommt da in so einen Raum rein, man muss so eine richtig wichtige Prüfung schreiben und dann hängt da vorne einfach so ein ganze Plakat von wegen, ja, lasst alle Hoffnung fahren. Obwohl, da gab es auch mal so ein Bild, was ich gesehen habe, wo der Lehrer über die Uhr so ein Zettel geklebt hat, wo dann drauf stand, Time will pass. Will you? Richtig gut.
Why, hello, Hajime. I hope you're doing pleasingly well. Are you pleasingly well? You are pleasingly well, right?
What are you doing here?
No.
Well, there was another thing I needed to tell you on this floor. I got bored of drawing manga. Can you forgive me for telling you by word of mouth?
You should have done that from the beginning. I didn't want to read your manga in the first place.
A high school student who doesn't like manga is like a sumo wrestler who doesn't like eating hot pots.
I'm getting really fed up with your babbling. Hurry up, what did you need to tell me?
It's about that key piece of information you've been waiting so long for.
What?
Surprise! It's about ultimate despair. Ahem. Even though the term ultimate despair refers to a group these days,
Actually.
it was originally the title for a high school girl who was the most powerful, evil and feared person alive.
High school girl? Junko.
Yes, indeed.
Lady Junko Enoshima.
Junko Enoshima?
Hey.
As the former ultimate despair, she created the despair, bringing with charm and humor. And created the ultimate despairs. There was one really horrible person in that group.
Don't fuck with me.
Hold on a sec.
I don't know what the ultimate despairs are, but it's not that easy to form an organization. There's no way people would join some fucked up organization created by a high school girl.
Humans who are obsessed with their philosophy have an uncanny power to attract others. It's a trait shared by many famous leaders throughout history, right? There's nothing strange about it.
Hey.
That holds true for Lady Junko. With her charismatic ability to attract people, she even influenced those in the highest echelons of power. Her connections were the main reason that incident became the tragedy in the first place.
So she even recruited people who would have been in a position to neutralize the threats?